Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to today's live trading webinar with myself, Giles Coughlin. Liberation Day. Here we come. Shame we haven't got Paul to tease about Liberation Day today, but this is the new day for America, and the rest of the world holds its breath to see what on earth that's going to look like. Good news for me is I've passed another account, just passed that before the session started here, and just hit the 3,000 target. So that's very good news. We'll have a look how things kick off here at the open. Quite an interesting area. We just had Tesla numbers breaking, which there's a 1.75, is it? Let me just check that. 1.57% Tesla weighting in the S&P 500. So that is impacting S&P. 336,000 deliveries, whereas 377,000 were expected. So that's more negative, and that's why we're seeing a little bit of downside in the E-mini. There may be a little 5-minute opportunity there. Yeah, it's not earnings, Mark Anthony, this one. It's just the deliveries for Q1. So I had a look, and it's not Tesla's earnings, just the deliveries. And that's just came out as the webinar started. So that's impacting sentiment. And you can see straight away that there's further selling. It's just come at 2 o'clock. You can see that candle there. Sellers pushing under the sort of later buyers and pushing under the standard deviation, and then trying to move lower. Get a 5-minute close here. Then you've got those buyers trapped. So you might very well see a move up and then down. Okay. If we get a close underneath these 5-minute buyers, and that is a value area as well. So just bear that in mind. I know you're the 2-point king, Mark. So I just thought I'd mention that. And then, yeah, we got these buyers here as well. So just as I'll leave that up, and we'll start the pre-market rundown. So what are we looking at today? It's Liberation Day. There's 3 options that Trump can do. One is 20% tariffs on everything. We've got that close as well. So you've got sellers on volume, trapping those buyers. So retracement back up to the 5,620, you'd expect to find sellers, and potentially it wants to go down and test these lows. And you've got selling coming back in with strength again. Second option is that Trump uses a 3-tiered tariff system. So, some people are in tariff tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Third option is that you get country by country tariffs. So if you try and make sense of all that, good luck, right? Because how do you analyze and weigh up that impact and that data there? It's with great difficulty. Very tricky to properly analyze all that data. And that's going to be the difficulty today. Today's going to be anticipation and further headlines and whipsawing action. The actual decision, I've got something I was sharing. I'm suited and booted today because I was speaking to Bloomberg this morning, and one point that I drew out, that I want to draw out for you, is when the Lehman Bank went bust, what you have to remember, right, and this is fascinating, is that the S&P 500 actually finished higher the week after it collapsed, right? It was only as time went on that the implications of how significant the Lehman Brothers collapse became. And the rest is history now. We looked at the global financial crisis of 2007, 2008, and we know that it was the collapse of the Lehman Brothers Bank. If someone put a gun to your head and said, where did the S&P 500 finish the week after the Lehman Brothers Bank collapsed, you would say, 100, 200, 300 points lower for sure, right? I would. But when you just look back and remind yourself of what's going on, you see that actually that wasn't the case. There was some reaction by the Fed. They were trying to prop up things, and they actually ended the week higher. So just keep that in mind today, that whatever reaction you get, there's so many moving parts. They were sort of asking me, how do you know whether the decision is a disappointment or a surprise? And that is such a good question, right? It's such a good question. How do you know whether it's a surprise or not? And the answer is you don't really, because there's so many different factors there. it's very hard to properly and accurately assess whether this is really a significant deviation from what was expected. I'd say the base case is about 20%, but just bear in mind, we want to really wait and just go with moves that are predictable, that are stable, that are obvious in the very short time. We don't want to try to be guessing what an announcement means. Now, the announcement's coming up tonight, 9 p.m. UK time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's like midnight Dubai time. So we've got the session to run through. Okay. Now, the other things to note in other markets, just seeing this saying, it'll be interesting to see if these sellers can hold here or not. Just going to a couple more minutes of that. The volatility is higher, right? Stocks are down across the world, worrying about Trump. You've got the S&P 500 trying to move back down to that S1 pivot point, and you've got this strong support region that's just sat down here about this sort of 550. So we're aware we've got strong support just sat there, but if we start breaking down through these lows, those lows, look for a capitulation and sharp moves lower. Got that rising window that became support, and then resistance. So we've got a big resistance area here in this gap from Monday through to Friday on the end of March. That's a big resistance, and also in with that R1 pivot point. Okay. Now, the bond market is finding buyers, risk off tones, right? Risk off market, you buy bonds. Gold continues to find buyers, and that's benefiting from inflation fears, from central bank buying around the world. It's benefiting from a lack of supply in the physical gold market. It's benefiting from its own momentum at the moment and strong buying from central banks around the world, as well as a weak dollar. There's just all these factors piling in for precious metal upside. And we spoke about silver and the gold-silver ratio yesterday. Big potential for volatility for gold today. Big potential for volatility. And the reason for that is that if it is considered to be a relief and that all of a sudden, Trump's going to boost global trade now rather than crash it, then all of a sudden what you're going to see is gold could easily just drop significantly lower as risk-off trade goes out of the market and geopolitical risk fades. A couple of stats about gold, I was talking about this with Bloomberg, this is currently 3 standard sigma deviations above the 200 daily market average. So very stretched to the upside, gold. And we've had buying every single week this year, apart from 1 week at the end of Feb. Look at that. Every single week. Buy. It's the strongest quarter, I think, for gold on record, actually. Which just goes to show you how incredible. Look at that monthly candle. That is just so bullish, right? Get a candle like that, you close right up at the high. And you can see when you get those closes right up at the highs, look at that. Just they're the kind of breakout trades to go for when you get those highs breaking out right up at the high. And remember, I pointed out that very strong bullish flag pattern. We looked at that yesterday. Flag, pull back 45 degrees, breakout. So you just watch out for gold volatility today. I'm probably going to hold my silver positions through this because I think I want to see what the steady reaction is. Dollar continues its way weaker, and that's on the slowing growth, inflation fears just weighing on the dollar. That's going to hit US growth moving forward. Then the other thing to notice is we had ADP jobs out, and look, a sudden boost, much better than the previous print that was, I think, 70,000 been revised higher for February. There's not a big problem in the US labor market, according to the private data. Sets the mood for Friday's NFP. And any interest rate expectations changes? No, nothing. Market's still expecting 4.375, still expecting just around 3 interest rate cuts at the end of this year. That's what's expected. And
just for the calendars, US President Trump and Senate Majority Leader Thune are set to meet on the Senate Republican tax plan today.
That may just drop there if we get a break underneath those 5-minute guys there. that can just drop. Look at the volume coming in now. Those breakout, those buyers potentially getting trapped, and that can just fall very fast there. So watch out for that. We've got the private inventory data coming out later for oil markets.
Just making you aware of commentary from PIMCO's.
Let me just tell you the expectations, Brian.
A US credit rating downgrade this year.
Just going to check the private inventories. Private inventories was a build of 6 million, Brian. So it was expected to be a draw of 2.1, build of 6. So let's have a look at that. So that figure now could read plus 6 million. So the forecast is now plus 6 million. So if that comes in as a big draw, then that's a big surprise for oil. So keep that in mind. Now let's go and look at the specifics of the E-mini. Right, so what we've got on the 15-minute chart, we've got a fast downtrend, and we're just slicing through value areas. Value area moved up, broke down. Value area moved up, break down potential. We've got 15-minute trapped buyers here. Looks very attractive for selling into the open. Let's just see. You got sellers trapped there. So I like that for a live trade. Let's see what the stops are. That's 16, 27. That's 10 points. So that's 15. So I actually like selling that into the open. So just selling that, you see you got the sellers, those buyers trapped on the 5. So just pulled up here, just taking a sell on my live account, looking for that to potentially move lower, looking to see if we can get back down to that 5613, something like that, see how it goes. That's looking pretty attractive. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Nice opportunity potentially here, very nice. And on the 15-minute, you got these sellers trapping those buyers, so a potential move down to here is what I'm looking for. Just drop to one of my live accounts. Oh, hang on, let's just see what. Okay, yeah, there it is. Wasn't showing up, just checking that. So I'm just looking to take profit here at the 5612-ish. Just gonna move it up to about 5613.50 with my target. Obviously, if that breaks, then you might have another little run lower down, right? So just leave that as I'm doing the, yeah, and the 15 as well. That's it. So you got nice confirmation here, and you've got some of those buyers trapped. Not a whole load of buyers trapped, but some. So you might get us a little flush down here, just ahead of the open. Let's see if and what we get. We shall see. And I've got stops just running above that standard deviation. You've got a nice bit of volume there. Market's just reluctant to obviously take it higher, and those buyers who are trying to take it higher getting trapped. Okay, so that does indicate a potential flush lower. So okay,
just making you aware of Gavin Bade at WSJ does say on X, can confirm that Treasury Secretary Bessent's message to lawmakers was today's tariffs could go down, not likely to go up. Whether Trump agrees with this assessment, however, remains to be seen.
Now on the hourly chart, we've got a very interesting move. We're moving down to that developed value area low here, and we've got the developing value area low there. We've also got some pretty stiff buyers here, potentially getting trapped, and here. So gotta be careful here. We're in a value area, might see a little push down, but it could be an area to see a little push up ahead of the open. So that's what's to look forward to as we move forward. So keep our eye on that. Point of control is at the 5640, and the big area is with these buyers trapped here at the 5639. So 5640 is a really big area and one to keep an eye on. So that's just watching it. I'm just going to see if we've got any other major data announcements. Let's have a look. No, it's just Trump's announcement at 9 o'clock. So we shall see. Got 10 minutes to the open now. So we'll just hold fire, see how we do. I just checked the inventory. Inventory is negative currently for 5,000. The downside, we're just moving back into this sell area. Those sellers, trapping those buyers, moving up into here is an obvious area for sellers, and this is where the battle needs to come in. The sellers need to come in strongly and start moving it back down to this 5613. This is in keeping with that move lower, and that's moving back up to where those 15-minute buyers got trapped up here. But let's see, a fair bit of volume, so I still like this. Don't see any reason not to take it. The only slightly downside is just into the US Open, but we shall see. All right, folks. So just got to wait for the Open, and then we should be on our way. I'm just going to go and make myself a cup of tea. Got my stops in place, so I will see you shortly. In a bit. So that's just hit my target there. I'm going to take my positions off.
Making you aware from Fox's News, Charles Gasparino says there is a TikTok US deal on the table to create a new company and US majority-owned short video app venture. Just see remarks from ECB's Holzman says rates are at neutral level, no reason to become accommodative. So
that's just hit target as we move down to that area. Just a nice short, sharp sweep. It's a bit tricky on the Open. Let's just see. Right, so that was just hit as I went down there. Great, makes sense. Here we are, April the 2nd. So the first thing is another account passed. So here we are on the 2nd of April. Profit in all the live accounts and
just making you aware, US Secretary of State.
Now, what we had is a good opportunity, just shorting the market as we came into it, just getting me over the line for that 3,000. And then when sentiment began the session, we were looking for opportunities to have a clear direction what the market was doing, and the market sort of showed its hand instantly. Really, you can see that pretty much as soon as we started, we dropped down where we had these trapped buyers on the 5-minute, and this was the first trade I took of the day before the Open. We had, with the sentiment week, we had sellers, right, trapping these buyers. So a pullback to this area looked very attractive for a short down, and particularly when I saw these buyers here getting trapped at this point, that was the best opportunity. So that was my best trade of the day, shorting from here down to this area here. Took it on the micro accounts, on one of my live accounts, well, all my live accounts, and you can see here, took a quick run down, $85 down to that bottom, and took profit just ahead of the Open. Then it was a question of how do I get involved with longs here, because sentiment was clearly very positive. Not the sentiment rather wasn't positive, but the order flow was very positive. For this double bottom, price took out this double bottom sort of arch, meaning the double bottom trade was on. Buyers, we saw sellers getting trapped almost straight away from the Open, and then it was buyers, 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 buyers. Then I was looking for an opportunity where buyers trapped sellers against the point of control. Didn't get it. Went for a long here where we had those sort of sellers getting trapped up here. So as that took out, I went for a long there, ended up getting stopped out of that trade just because I was bought right up at the high and I was looking for a breakout and a continuation. So it was breaking out of the highs on volume. It was 5673. It was a high of the day. So it was an area I was looking for a breakout trade. Took higher, and then you can see quite clearly that it was faked out. So took that off for a loss. Then once I saw these sellers getting trapped again, I was confident to re-enter the long, because I could see here, these sellers then got trapped here. So I was looking for a good opportunity to go long, just took it off. And then when these buyers came in again, right, trapped the sellers again and took another long. So I just took two long at first and closed that off, then another long, and then took my final long of the day when you can see it more clearly on the 5-minute chart. See these sellers, all building up here. Sellers. And then they got trapped here on this 5-minute candle. I went with the 1 minute. So as the 1 minute broke out those highs, trapping all those sellers, went with it long. Wanted to hold to the second standard deviation, didn't manage to do that, and took it off just before we hit the second standard deviation, and leaving me with a profit for the day of $81 across all my live accounts. So that's all for today, folks. We'll be back tomorrow. Hope you've had a good day and look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Take care and speak soon. Bye for now.